Hello. Come on in the room. Happy Thursday. Happy hour. Happy Mars in Scorpio, which we will talk a little bit about today. Come on in the room. Get settled. If this is your first time here, hello. I am Mambo Soleil. I am the Coven Mother of Vision of Dawn Tour. I am the founder and facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program. I am your weekly reader, and I'm a dope bitch straight up out of Oakland. Hello. Come on in the room, say hello. If you've been here before, then you know the drill. Say hi, hit the scale emojis. If you're new here, say hi, hit the scale emojis. The scales mean a lot to me in terms of energy. So come on in. We're going to get started in just a moment. Okay? Come on in. Vision. Love that song so much. Okay. No, YouTube, don't be telling people that I don't pay. I don't have it in me to pay for a YouTube subscription. So it sucks when I'm playing a song that's super good, and then all of a sudden it's a random commercial about BetterHelp or some shit that comes on. But hello, Tiffany. Good to see you. Hello. So we are doing happy hour tonight. Hello, Matrice. Hello, Bertal. Martise, I'm so excited that you signed up for Grace and Gratitude. It was such a beautiful experience last year, and I can only imagine it's going to be equally as beautiful this year. Hello, Nicole. Good to see you. So for those of you who may be used to my Sunday, I just cooked for one of my spirits. That's why I'm fanning myself. And my house is really warm right now, so I apologize. I'll put the fan down because I do have the air conditioner on. Hopefully that'll do its thing and cool me down in a moment. But for those of you who, what was I about to say? I made myself forget what I was about to say. So for those of you who may be used to my Sunday readings, happy hour is a little different. Happy hour is when we come together. Hopefully you guys have some sort of cocktail or refreshing drink that brings you satisfaction. Tonight, again, if you know, you know, and if you know who I cooked for tonight, I'm drinking Prosecco because I had some left over when I gave them what they needed. But we have cocktails and we talk shit, same way you would at happy hour towards the end of the week, approaching the end of the week with your friends, with the people that you love. The slight difference is that even though I do talk about pop culture and geopolitics here, I try to tie it into some bigger message that we all can benefit from. I don't believe in just sitting around talking about people idly. If we're gonna gossip, if we're gonna shoot the shit, if we're gonna read in the vein of one of the topics tonight, then I want it to be something that's gonna benefit us in terms of wisdom as a collective. I look perky and happy. Thank you. I love hearing that. A good concealer can change a life, Bertal, because I am exhausted. In fact, as soon as I get off of here with y'all, I'm going to take a spiritual bath. I'm going to eat my dinner, and I'm going to crash. So I'm grateful that I look perky and happy. It may be a glamour. I don't know. But yeah, so this is a little different than what we typically do on Sundays. And because Mars is in Scorpio currently, and it just went into Scorpio this past Tuesday. It's going to be there until November 5th. I actually had a completely different topic scheduled. And so I typically only do one happy hour reading a week, but I'm going to do two this week. So I'll be back here tomorrow night because I really want to talk about love, romance, and sex magic with Mars being in Scorpio and how sex can be really transformative. I think that's something we need to have a conversation about. But I don't know how many of you guys watched my weekly forecast or my weekly energy reading, my weekly wisdom reading this Sunday. And you guys may have noticed that the love reading was a lot different in tone than what it usually is, right? And I talked a lot about arrogance, the way that arrogance, a desire to not be wrong, masking insecurity with bravado can really cause you to lose relationships. It can cause you to be misrepresented. It can cause people to lose love and respect for you, right? Hey, Aja. Hey, Tashana. Hello, Adelaida. Good to see you all. And then Cardi B caught hold of what the fuck Crissle said about her, right? Like literally right after I said that. Everything went viral between Crissle and Cardi B. And I've spoken to some of you. Some of you guys have had experiences where people have tried you. People that you really wanted to respect have responded and acted towards you in really arrogant, fucked up ways. I've had to step away from a couple people this week because I literally asked basic questions and got my head bitten off and was spoken to in a really disrespectful manner. And it made me realize, like, okay, this person is not at a place of emotional maturity the way that I thought that they were, right? And so I really want to talk about that. I was watching someone's coverage of the situation between Crissle and Cardi B. And if you follow me on Facebook, you saw me post the quote because it stuck out with me. They said, we really need to learn how to have conversations without bitterness. We need to learn how to have conversations without bitterness. And I think that there's so much weight and truth to that statement that Destiny Ute made. It's a very truthful statement. How many of you guys, because I don't want to just jump into and assume that you guys are aware of what happened between Crissle and Cardi B. How many of you guys are aware of what Crissle said in her podcast, The Read, about Cardi B and how Cardi B responded? Put some comments in the comment section, of course. Let me know. Because if you're not aware, I do want to take a moment to explain and get you all up to speed. Also, I'm just going to apologize in advance. I'm trying to launch a product in the next couple of weeks. And so I'm working priestess. I work from home. So there's chaos behind me. And I'm like trying to be strategic and hide it. But if you see some cloves piled up and some herbs and some random shit, mind your business. Like I work in my home. I do my conjure in my home. So don't trip off of it. Adelaida said no. Marti said I'm not aware. Tiffany said I haven't heard. Brital, this is new. Okay. Tashana said I don't know who Crissle is. All right, okay. Crissle is a famous podcaster. Some would say that her and her co-host Kid Fury are responsible for revolutionizing podcasts as an industry. I will say that. They revolutionized podcasts as an industry. I've literally been listening to their podcast since it launched in 2013. I remember very vividly, I think it was the podcast, because they're big Beyonce fans, and they were like crying and weeping when she launched that album, that surprise album she did that was self-titled. They're pop culture critics. Crissle, I believe, is a writer. Kid Fury also writes television for television. He was a writer on that show. Rap Shit, which I'm still pissed off that Rap Shit got canceled. But they're writers and podcasters, pop cultural critics, public figures, okay? The week of Cardi B's album being released, a few days before it was released, Crissle went off on a very long discussion about Cardi B, how she feels that Cardi B makes bad choices with her reproductivity, bad choices in men, calling her a bird, calling her a bitch, saying that she's fucking up her career by having another child, saying that she hoped that she doesn't die on the operating table while she's getting a mommy makeover. Like, Crissle said a lot of really nasty things about this woman. Now, here's the thing. Crissle has always been a nasty person. I'm not going to lie. Even though I'm a fan of that podcast, Crissle has routinely, she's known for saying things in really mean and vicious ways. It's like literally a part of her branding. Okay? Crissle said fucked up shit about me and she don't even know me. And she probably doesn't even remember me. If you asked her who is this person and you gave her my name, she probably wouldn't know who the fuck you were talking about. She's just a vicious person. And that doesn't mean that she's not entertaining, but she says really, really nasty things about people. And so between her calling Cardi B all kinds of bitches, saying that her children are going to be fucked up because they don't have a father, right? This is a feminist. I want you to remember that. A feminist sat on a podcast and said that Cardi B's children are going to be fucked up and traumatized because they don't have a father. Now, mind you, they absolutely have a father. Does the father live in a home with them? No. But we don't, why would you say that? Like, you know, like, it gave bitter auntie energy. It gave bitter auntie energy. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about arrogance. I want to talk about insecurity. And I want to talk about how it causes difficulty in the way that people communicate. And how that inability to exercise discernment when communicating causes people to not only misrepresent themselves, but to lose relationships in the process, right? What Crissle said about Cardi B was insane. Cardi B has since responded, right? So imagine that, like this mega superstar had to respond to the horrible things that this podcaster said about them on a public platform, because she basically said that she doesn't raise her own children, which is not true, right? Cardi about to pull them herbs out and make some shit. Cardi about to pay her EI. I was thinking this the other day, not to go too far off topic. I want to know who Cardi B works with, because I would love to take some classes from and train under that motherfucker. Because the glamours that Cardi B has over her and the shit that Cardi B gets away with, oh my word. Like, I feel like whoever does her work could give master classes in glamour work that people would pay thousands for. Absolutely. Because y'all know I wouldn't call myself a Cardi B fan. I'm a Cardi B listener. Because here's the thing. Even though the way that Crissle said those things was really nasty and disgusting, I don't disagree with her. I don't disagree a lot. There are several things that Crissle said that I don't disagree with. That's the problem. I grew up in a household, my mother used to say all the time, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It is not what you say, how you say it. And me, teenage me, who was slick at the mouth and just wanted to say whatever the fuck they wanted to say, I used to hate when she would say that. Just let me say, I'm just being honest. I'm keeping it real. I'm being honest. No, I was being a turd. I was being rude. I was being adversarial. I was being abusive with my language. I was lashing out because I was a wounded, scared, insecure teenager, and I wanted to make other people feel as bad as I felt. And unfortunately, we have a lot of grown people. We have a lot of 30-somethings, 40-somethings, 50-somethings that are still moving in the world from their wounded teenager, that are still painfully insecure, that still don't know how to answer a basic question without going off on somebody and making them feel small and challenging their intelligence. Someone who doesn't know how to articulate, I have concerns about this woman popping out a baby and going on a world tour without attacking the person's character, calling them all kinds of bitches, and insinuating that they are likely to die in plastic surgery. Those are two very different things. Again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? And Crissle has made a career. I would estimate that Crissle, I'm not counting nobody's money. She probably has a few $100,000s, if not millions at this point. I don't know. Again, she's one of the most famous podcasters on the planet, really revolutionized the field, and has been doing this work for more than a decade. She's made a coin. But there's a viciousness behind the way she spoke about that woman that is riddled with projections, dripping with projections. I'm not a therapist. I'm not her priestess. So I can't tell you what the nature of those projections are. I don't know if they come from insecurity. I don't know if they come from her own. I think there's a particular way that sometimes women who don't have children or who have never actively raised children can be really resentful and judgmental towards young mothers, right? And Cardi B is not young. She's 30, but she's younger than Crissle, right? So I don't know where the vitriol comes from. But it's vitriol that was coming from a place that had very little to do with Cardi. And so going back to the quote that I mentioned earlier from Destiny Ute, we need to learn to have conversations without bitterness. That's a problem that a lot of us have. I've noticed in my adulthood, since I've been in college, which was more than 25 years ago, don't judge me, whatever, I look good. I started college 25 years ago, but I still look good, okay? I feel like it's gotten worse with us as a society and as a collective. We don't know how to talk and have conversations and make statements without being nasty and rude and projecting our bitterness, projecting our assumptions, projecting our superiorities onto other people. There was a lot, and I grew up around girls like Crissle. There was a lot of, I'm middle class, I grew up a particular way, I grew up with both parents, and I judge bitches like Cardi coming out in the conversation. And that's the only reason why I brought up the fact that Crissle is a feminist, because you would not be able to tell that was a feminist saying those things. That was bitter church auntie energy, the way that she was talking about that woman. I've heard women in the church, old embittered women, widowed women, women who haven't been touched in decades in the church, talk about people the way that Crissle was talking about Cardi B. It shifted from a critique on pop culture to an older, bitter woman throwing hate at somebody younger than them very, very quickly. And again, I'm a fan of that podcast, even though she's come for me before. And again, she don't even know me, but she came for me, which is interesting. Pattern, right? I'm a fan of that podcast, but I can be honest about how out of line she was. I actually listened to her podcast episode that came out today because I'm thinking, okay, this is a woman in her 40s. This is somebody who proclaims to be somewhat left in their politics. Hopefully she's listened to someone and has reevaluated the way she spoke. No, she doubled down. She doubled down. Was very dismissive of people who were critical of the way she spoke about that woman. To say those things about somebody in that way that is that deeply vicious, but also somebody that's carrying a child, is a lot. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. I think that there's a way in which, because we speak from bitterness, we speak from projections, we speak from insecurities and a need to dominate and prove that other people are lesser than us. We can sometimes forget that we are talking to individuals. I mentioned earlier that I had to separate from some people this week. The way that they spoke to me just from asking a basic question, you would have thought that they were talking to some bitch off the street. You would have thought that they were talking to somebody that fucked their man. And I'm grateful for the healing and the progress I've made in my own identity, and I am where I'm now. Because younger me, 20-something me, would have felt like I was obligated to stay around and deal with that shit and over-explain. No, fuck that. You don't get to have my energy if you behave that way, right? But someone like Cardi B, who has their public reputation riding on things like that, it may be a little bit different. So tonight I really want to talk about communication. We have Mars and Scorpio. Mars and Scorpio is an energy that is deeply ripe for personal transformation. And even though Mars is a planet of action, it's not related to communication. Scorpios are deeply communicative, right? They're very intuitive. It's about bringing what's hidden to the surface. And again, I don't know how many of you guys watched my weekly forecast reading, but I talked about this in the love reading. A lot of people are going to lose love opportunities, friendship opportunities, business expansion opportunities because y'all don't know how to not be arrogant. Y'all don't know how to not have the desire to want to dominate people and harm people with your words and then act like somebody is just weak or sensitive because you're being abusive with your words, knowing good and goddamn well that you don't want nobody to talk to you that way. So I really think that as again, we're only 2 days in, into Mars and Scorpio. And literally the second that Mars went into Scorpio on Tuesday, people started showing their natural born ass and being verbally abusive. That is not by coincidence. I think it's really important that we take this energy and think about who we want to be and whether or not our words are going to bring us closer to who we want to be in that transformation. Or if the way that we talk to and about other people is going to reveal our insecurities and expose our insecurities and put bigger blockages and barriers between us and who we want to be. Again, Mars and Scorpio, deep transformation, revelation of hidden truths, right? And so again, you guys know that I'm introducing this thing. This is probably the third week I've done it, where on happy hour readings, we have specialty reading opportunities, right? So tonight's specialty reading, in light of what I'm talking about, is the communication clarity reading. So if you are somebody that knows you struggle with communication, if you think you struggle with communication, if you're not sure, if you are just deep in your shadow work bag and you want to highlight something, this is a reading that'll help you. It'll highlight things about your current communication style, reveal any blockages that are related to it, if there are blockages related to it, and then give you wisdom and medicine around how to make changes if that is something you want. Adelaida said her husband, I was running my mouth, Adelaida, so I apologize. What was it that your husband used to tell you all the time? Oh, what did they used to tell you? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer in that. And as somebody with their Venus in Gemini and their Mercury in Taurus, my whole motto is talk to me nice. My whole vibe is talk to me nice. And there have been times where people have read me to fucking filth and have handed my ass to me on a platter. And I was able to receive it and take it fully because they said it to me in a very intelligent, graceful, just conscious way, right? A very self-aware way of telling me, hey, you need to work on this, you need to change this. And then I've had people try to tell me a similar thing, but they come at me in a really, really fucked up, abusive manner. And you know what? I don't talk to those motherfuckers. I don't care. You can be telling me that the house is on fire. Why are you yelling at me? And here's the thing. Everybody don't want to admit that they've moved that way, but more people than who are aware move that way. The taste of the medicine matters. It matters. And there are way too many people. Okay, I hear you. I will be honest. It's one of the biggest barriers that I work on with middle-aged women in my coaching practice. I cannot tell you how many middle-aged women I know. Successful, beautiful, look younger than what they are, amazing on paper, deeply fucking lonely, no real friends, haven't been touched in years. They may be able to get a date and go out on a date, but as soon as they open their mouths, they're not getting calls back. And it has every fucking thing to do with how nasty and disgusting their mouth is. And getting them to understand that, they just get so defensive. well, I got this degree and I'm not going to dumb myself down. I keep it real. Yeah, you keep it real lonely. You keep it real lonely because you don't know how to talk to people, and conversations, instead of being opportunities for connections, are opportunities to beat up other people because you need to get a good lick in to feel better about yourself. It's a trash way to be. Chantel said, oh, Lord, I know my communication can be seen as harsh. I just don't know how to sugarcoat. I just speak directly in my opinion, trying to be more conscious of it. Here's the thing. I used to say things like that too, Chantel. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm saying this to you because I love you. When you think about the way that you speak to people, would you want them to talk to you that way? It's that simple. It's that simple. And if you feel like you would want somebody to talk to you that way, then don't change it. If you can really say with your full chest, in the words of if you can say it with your chest, in the words of Kevin Hart, that you are cool with people talking to you the way that you talk to them, then it is what it is. But most people can dish it and can't take it. I went through that same experience in a former mentor-mentee relationship. I had a mentor who was very nasty with their mouth, wanted to say any and everything. In fact, part of what led to my falling out with them was that they wouldn't stop calling me bitches. And then finally, when I broke and called them one slur that I'm still not proud of, because I don't typically use language like that, but fuck it, I'm going to get you off of me. I called them one slur, and you would have thought that I pissed on their mother's grave. If you can't take it, if you know in your heart of hearts that the way that you talk to people is not how you want to be spoken to, that's arrogance. That's inauthenticity. And so, Chantel, I can't say that for you. My conversations with you have always been beautiful. They've always been chill. I've never experienced you as being a disrespectful person. But if that is feedback you are getting from other people, then I would encourage you to reflect over that. Adelaida said, you're good at doing that, Mambo. Again, it's my mantra. Would I want somebody to talk to me that way? I promise you it's that simple. And for some people, it might not be that simple. And if it's not that simple for you, you may need some coaching. You may need to do your shadow work. You may have shadows and triggers that you're not aware of. Because I'm going to be real with you. A lot of people who speak in ways that are nasty, they're speaking from their triggers. I had somebody who claimed to love me just because I was having a basic conversation with them. And Bertal knows about this. All my girls know about this. Basic conversation with them where I'm talking to them about basic evaluation. And because they didn't want to hear it, they low-key threatened me. And then when I told them that they threatened me, they were like, I didn't say that. I was just keeping it real. Okay, well, you're going to keep it real the far fuck away from me. You don't get to threaten me because I take that shit seriously. And I got hands. And we shouldn't, as grown women, we shouldn't even be going there. Right? But most people who lack awareness of their triggers, most people who lack awareness of their insecurities, most people who are avoiding their shadows rather than confront it, have a really hard time speaking to other people with kindness because for them, conversations are an opportunity to dominate, not to connect. It's an opportunity to show superiority over another person. And what's one of the easiest ways that you can show superiority over another person? Put them down. My mother used to say there was a way to tell people to go to hell and look forward to go. I love that. I'm going to use that, Nicole. I'm going to use that. I'm absolutely going to use that because it's true. It's absolutely true. I have been told harsh things and didn't understand how harsh it was until several days later. I've said harsh things to people and they didn't get it until much later. And it wasn't sugarcoating. It wasn't pussyfooting. I was completely and deeply honest, especially in my readings and when I'm coaching. I work with spirit. I I have to be honest, even when I don't want to, because you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to deal with consequences from spirits due to dishonesty. I personally am not going to do that, right? But it's the way you say things to people. And a lot of you guys are creating blockages in your life. You're creating barriers for yourself. You are creating isolation and loneliness for yourself because you're not being real with how you talk to and about people. Crissle may be famous. She may have a lot of money, but she strikes me as a deeply insecure person and a somewhat lonely person and a very performative person. Allegedly, I know nothing. This is an illusion. I'm fake. I'm AI. So everything I say is alleged. But yes, I think it's really important for people to think about their communication, how they communicate with people, how they talk to people. I'm not disrespectful or rude at all. Yeah, I mean, Chantel, I personally have never experienced you that way. I know we haven't met face to face, but we have had quite a few interactions, and I've never experienced you that way. So you may absolutely just, having conversations with people who don't want to hear honesty. That's a real thing too. Let's be real. Some people don't want honesty. I go through it all the time as a priestess. I cannot tell you how many people get readings from me and then get upset that I'm telling them the truth. And it's like, well, what did you pay me for? Like in real life, when you sat down and said, I'm going to book a divination with a priestess, what did you think was going to happen? But a lot of people don't want to hear honesty. So I'm in no way minimizing the fact that people just can't take honesty. But raised voices, insulting somebody's intelligence, saying that they're going to die on an operating table, talking about somebody's parenting, saying that their kids are going to grow up like, girl. So I'm not surprised by what Crissle said, unfortunately. I'm not surprised. Am I deeply disappointed that in 12 years of doing this work in public, there hasn't been any maturation or elevation in terms of her communication and how she evaluates people and the things she says? Yeah, because it's just kind of late. It's kind of late. The way that you communicated in your early 30s should not be the way that you are communicating in your mid 40s. That's late as fuck. And that's what I mean when I say I have a lot. I have coached and worked with a lot of women and men too, but it shows up slightly differently in men. A lot of men and women who are in their 30s, their 40s, and their 50s. And you would swear that they were wounded 14-year-olds based off of the way that they communicate and based off of the way that they take feedback. I have clients that I've been giving readings to that are dealing with the same problems 3 and 4 years later because they refuse to accept that the way that they use their mouth is causing blockages for them. It's ridiculous. Tiffany, I see that you sent your love offering, so you will be my first reading for the communication clarity readings. If anyone else would like a communication clarity reading, my Cash App and my PayPal are both scrolling below. Send your $11.11 on over, and I will put you on the list, okay? How many of you guys have experienced that, though? Right? Somebody who you think you're getting to know them and they seem like a decent person, but the second that you either don't agree with them on something or you challenge something that they say, crazy comes out their mouth. How many of you guys have encountered? I've encountered it. I've encountered it multiple times. I just told y'all I dealt with it twice this week. How many of you guys have encountered that? Sanidra said, I just had that conversation today. Share what you feel comfortable with, Sanidra, about the conversation you've had. Bratal raised their hand. Yeah. It's unnerving. Tiffany said so many times. Yeah. It's unnerving because it's never that serious, right? And here's another thing. So I mentioned earlier, oh, okay, I will go there. I mentioned earlier that one of the barometers of measuring whether or not you're communicating authentically is, would you be okay with somebody speaking that way to you? Another way that you can tell that somebody knows better, because in the interactions I had this week where I had to step away, it's because I know for certain that the person knew better. I know for certain that both of those people knew that they were being disrespectful. And I can forgive miscommunication, but when you know that you're being harmful and when you know that you're being a petty, disgusting bitch, no, I can't see it for that, right? Another barometer, and you guys probably have experienced this too. Pay attention to how that person speaks to people that they believe to have power. Pay close attention to how that person speaks to someone that they believe to have power or be in power. I dealt with this a lot when I worked in higher education. I feel like I look like a 42-year-old woman. I quit working in higher education when I was 36 years old, and I feel like I looked like a 36-year-old woman at that time, but people often tell me that I look and present younger than what I am. So imagine me being in these offices in different advisor capacities, and people, I'm a young Black woman technically, but people are assuming that I'm much younger than what I am, okay? I cannot tell you how many times people would just fly off the mouth and talk to me like they didn't have the sense God gave a fucking billy goat, only to turn around and try to say those same messages to a white man or a white woman or just a man in power, and their tone, their delivery, the words they chose, completely and utterly fucking different. You have to pay attention. People are more aware of their communication than they want you to understand. They will play in your face and say, oh, I don't know any better. It was an accident. It was a misunderstanding. Somebody, after I walked away from one of those situations, tried to tell me, oh, we'll just come back and have a face-to-face conversation. It was probably a misunderstanding. I'm good. Because I know how intelligent that other person was, and I know that they were going out of their way to be disrespectful. They were being willfully obtuse, and they were doing so in a way to be domineering and dismissive and to belittle me. And I don't give a fuck what's going on with them in their personal life. I don't give a damn. I'm not gonna go there. None of that has anything to do with me. You don't get to project your bullshit onto me. You don't. You just don't. Hey, Phoenix Indigo, it's good to see you. Phoenix Indigo said, people told her a therapist shouldn't be speaking that way. And she said she had no intentions to change her career and isn't one. So she's bound. That. I don't like it when people weaponize their education. What's the point of getting education if it's not going to change and shift you? What's the point of getting education if you're not going to incorporate it into your mindfulness, right? So I get that she may not be a therapist, but as somebody who studied, I assume, psychology or counseling, you should have more awareness of the weight and the power of your words. So yeah, you may not be in the field, but understanding that berating a pregnant woman and telling them that they should be ashamed of themselves for having a baby while having a career, and that their kids are going to grow up to be fucked up because they're in a mixed family, a blended family, and that they may die on an operating table. I don't think, if you really studied, if you really understand psychology, if you really understand those things, then you should have an understanding of how that lands on people. So Again, that's another thing. The being evasive, the inability to take responsibility. Nobody wants to be accountable, right? I feel like accountability gets weaponized in ways that are evasive and weird, the same way that narcissism gets overused. I think sometimes when people talk about somebody being accountable, they saying that they want to hold people accountable, and you can't hold somebody accountable. Accountability is something that someone takes, right? It's disappointing that that grown titty woman cannot take accountability for the things that come out of her mouth. And yes, you have the privilege of getting education in the US when most people don't get higher education degrees. That should be something that changes your order and your steps in the way that you talk in the world. So I'm not surprised at all, but I am disappointed in how she is responding to this situation. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Sanidra said, just about how people lack how to respectfully communicate. And it's sad that adults are like this, and it's leaking to that part. How many of you guys are around 11, 12 years, like preteen girls? Do you see the way, and so this is a broader conversation that I'm going to try not to go off on a tangent. When I grew up, there was preteen culture, right? Like, and I think all the way into like the mid 2010s, there was preteen culture. But there's this interesting thing that has happened where there's no preteen culture anymore. All the preteens are running around and wearing Sephora makeup and acting like little mini influencers. It's very strange. I was around some young children, 10 to 12, recently, and they were just saying the most vicious shit. And every time they said something nasty, clock that tea. Clock that tea. Yeah, girl, clock that tea. So I agree, Sanidra, it is leaking into the children, and it's not good. We are raising little sociopaths. We are raising people that really don't have a regard for how they speak to other people, and it's sad. It's really, really sad. Phoenix Indigo, I was in the mental health field, and I was disturbed. Because that's a lame ass thing to say. It lacks accountability, and it's really, really lame. I'm not in the field anymore, and I still make considerations based on what I learned. I'm not perfect, but I'm not evoking death regarding strength. Girl, it's so basic. It is so basic. In the episode this week, she claims, and I'm saying claims for a reason, that she was just saying, when she said the dying on the operating table thing, she was just repeating a lyric that Cardi said. That's a lie, because you said that before the album came out and that lyric was said. So again, not able to take accountability, right? Can we ask a question regarding the communication reading? Absolutely. Let me know what question you have. There are a couple people who actually have sent their payments in. So I'm going to start answering those in a second, starting with Tiffany, and then I'm just going to go down the list. Claire's shutting down is definitely a sign of the times for Claire's has shut down? I'm in my 40s and I still love Claire's. Claire's has some of the best Hello Kitty shit on the planet. Amazing Hello Kitty stationery. That breaks my heart, and I'm a grown person. I wasn't even aware of that. That is so disappointing. I hate hearing that. Yeah, it's, as a parentified child, you guys know I talk about this in my class, so it's no secret. I'm one of 10 children, second oldest and the oldest girl. I literally had other people's babies on my hips from the time that I was 9 years old. As a parentified child, I don't wish adultification on children because I know what it cost me. And I feel like this cultural shift towards adultification, adultifying children is something that we are going to deeply regret in the future, right? I've had falling out with people that used to be my friends because I would try to explain to them, like, don't make your 10-year-old daughter your best friend. That's a lot of pressure for a child, but it's also manipulative. Because then when they start acting grown or they overtalk or they share your business, you want to punish them. But we're not supposed to be able to punish our friends. A. B. They need to be in conversation with girls their age instead of sitting around at tables with you drinking Starbucks and gossiping. So KFS, that broke my heart. I didn't even know Claire shut down. Claire shut down. We don't hardly have no more arcades and shit for kids to go to. Like, there are so few kid spaces. Phoenix Indigo, even if Cardi said it, it is different when someone who doesn't know. That part. It's stuff that I say about myself all the time. All the time. Y'all can look at me and see that I'm not skinny. If I call myself a fat bitch, that's one thing. If you call me a fat bitch, I'm punching you in your fucking throat. We're fighting. I just told y'all, I'm one of 10 kids. I call my brothers big head and make fun of them, all kind of shit. If some bitch out in the street say something about one of them, guess what's happening? They're getting slapped. You're absolutely right. It's one thing for somebody to say it about themselves. It's another thing for somebody to lodge it at them as an insult. I'm big on letting my daughter be a kid as long as she wants. I love that she's still... I love that for you, and I love that for her. Let that baby have her childhood, absolutely. Especially a little black girl, because they want to... The world is going to adultify us prematurely. So we in our family structures really shouldn't do it. I love that for you and your baby, Chantel. All right. Keep your comments coming. I'm going to go ahead and get... So, Bertal, I don't know if you ever asked your question about the clarity communication reading. I told you that it was cool for you to ask a question, so I'm still waiting for you to do so. But I'm going to go over the spread before I get started. I see that a couple people did send their payments in. Thank you all. I'm going to start with Tiffany and then just go down the list of who submit already. If you submit via PayPal, let me know in the comments because I can't see my PayPal. And don't fucking lie to me. Don't lie to me. I've had somebody do that to me before. I had somebody tell me that they sent me a love offering over PayPal, and I gave them a reading, and I went and looked on my PayPal and wasn't shit there. Like, and here's the thing. On the Weekly Wisdoms, it's even goofier to do it on Weekly Wisdom because you don't have to, they're free readings, right? I only charge for these ones. I'm not going to distract myself by talking about the weird shit that people doing because I'm in a good mood. But let me go over the format. It's 3-card reading. You guys know I love a 3-card reading. And it's just to help you get clarity about how you communicate. So the first card is to look into your current communication style so it can reveal how you tend to express yourself and show the strengths in that habit. Second one is the barrier to your expression. So this is going to uncover any obstacles that the way you communicate may bring into your experiences. And then the third card looks at what needs to be improved. So the third card is going to be prescriptive, okay? So Tiffany sent her payment in first. So we are going to start with Miss Tiffany. And then we're just going to go down the list from there, okay? So Tiffany, thank you so much for submitting and for trusting me to do this reading. I'm going to go with Millennial. You guys are probably sick of... Y'all are probably sick of the Millennial Tarot almost as much as y'all are sick of Afro anime. Guess what? It ain't going to change shit. I love this deck. The man who created this did his damn thing with this deck. It is absolutely amazing. Claire's File Chapter 11 this year. Hundreds of stores are set to close. It's been purchased by another company who hopes to keep some. I hope they keep it open too. I hope that they're able to pivot the way that Red Lobster was able to pivot. Shit, get a black woman in there. Make a black woman the CEO of Claire's. I bet you they'll be able to keep that shit open then. All right, Tiffany. So we're going to start with you. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits walk with me, and elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Tiffany need about her communication style? Please give us insight. Let this communication clarity reading give her wisdom about how she communicates. Help her to understand how her words have impact, how they may or may not be creating barriers, and give her prescriptive advice around what she needs to do to change it. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Too many cards fell out, so I'm not going to read those as additions. I'm just going to put them back in the spread or back in the deck and shuffle. I have to collaborate with other managers now at work. In the past, I was shut down. They said I was rough around the edges. I have been playing safe and staying quiet. Do I continue to stay quiet? When we get to you, Bertal, I'll ask that, absolutely. So I will come back to you for that question. If anyone has a specific question about their communication, like Bertal, I'm happy to do that in substitute of the clarity spread. But you guys have been responding well to these spreads. That's why I keep doing them. All right. So, Tiffany, what we see here in the first card, which talks about your current communication style, you think a lot before you talk. You think a lot. You're showing up as the Queen of Swords. You are fiercely independent. I wouldn't be surprised if before you speak to some people, you literally write down what you're going to say, right? You think tremendously before you speak. And the reason why you do that is because you understand the weight of words, right? Queen of Swords is somebody who understands how big of an impact words have, the ability for words to hurt or harm. And because of that, they're really discerning with how they speak. There's a directness and a precision. Sometimes that precision can teeter over into being hurtful, right? But for the most part, this keeps you out of trouble. You're very, very deliberate. Now, in the position of the blockage or the barrier that causes for you, we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. So it's interesting because people associate Queen of Swords with being a harsh communicator, but for you, it's the opposite. Because you spend so much time in the mind instead of just saying things and getting it out, you at times have a hard time standing your ground. You either have a hard time standing your ground or you find yourself, it's like you keep your opinion to yourself so much that when you finally let it out, it's not coming out right. And it can lead to unnecessary fights and arguments, right? So Seven of Wands, when in reverse, it's like a polarity. It's either somebody who isn't fighting and standing up for themselves at all, or somebody who is getting distracted by the wrong fights, right? Now, in terms of the medicine and what you need to consider in terms of changing your communication style so that you can have different experiences, we have the Page of Cups. And I actually love this for you. You need to get comfortable with being a little bit more vulnerable, right? Page of Cups, Pisces energy, the dreamer, somebody who moves from their intuition. Instead of overthinking and being overly reserved and restrictive in that Queen of Swords way, you need to really get comfortable with trusting yourself to say the first thing that comes up, right? Because that's the thing about Pisces. A lot of times their first thought is the right thought. They have such a deep connection to spirit that it's not like they're saying anything wrong or their perception is out of order. And you, most of the times, have the right thought. Your emotion is right. And so learning to trust that it's okay to communicate from emotion is something that you really do have to work on, okay? I hope that resonated with you. Let me know if that felt right or if that resonated with you. Let's see. After Tiffany, we have, hold on a second. Tiffany, we have Nicole next. So we have Nicole, then Sanidra, Adelaida, Bertal, and then Chantel. If there's anyone else, okay. OMG, spot on. Thank you so much. I'm a Pisces moon as well. I always forget that you're a Pisces moon. I always forget. I know you're a Leo sun, but I always forget. That's a hell of a combination. That's a dope combination. Leo sun and a Pisces moon. That's really, really dope. But I always forget that you have a Pisces moon. I'm glad that resonated with you. Okay, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad that I did this. Okay, so let's see what Nicole needs to know. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits walk with me. What does Nicole need to know about her communication style? What is her current communication style? Are there any blockages associated with it? And what does she need to consider in order to have better experiences of her communication? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Keep the questions coming. You guys are more than welcome to continue the conversation around Cardi B and Crissle in the comments while we're going along. I promise I won't get distracted. But if you still have opinions about the topic, go ahead and share them in the comments. Okay. So I love this for you, actually. You're actually a really authentic communicator, Nicole. You communicate very confidently. There's like and I know this may sound weird, but there's like a charisma to the way that you communicate and the way that you connect to people. People really pay attention to what you have to say. Queen of Wands is a woman who, when she speaks, people listen. She enters a room and people pay attention. So you are really good at commanding space and attention when you speak, right? And that's something that really, really works to your benefit. Now, for the most part, there aren't a lot of blockages in your communication. Some would say there is a potential with the World card because the World card is about taking up space and being at your feet. Some would say that there may be a tendency at times for you to take up a little bit too much space. But just being aware of that, I don't think that this is a situation where you need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think this is a situation where you need to be smaller because, again, Queen of Wands gets what she wants. So just be aware. There's a phrase that we used a lot in my community growing up, which is step forward, step back. So just be mindful of those moments where you may be taking a little bit off of somebody else's plate in terms of how you communicate. But for the most part, again, the World card, like, people listen to you. They want you to take up space. So definitely don't play smaller, but just try to be aware of those moments. In terms of the medicine and what you need to consider, hold on, let me go back to my notes. What needs to improve? There can be times where you project your fears into a situation, right? 9 of Swords is nightmare energy. So every now and then you may project something onto a conversation that's based off of your prior experience, and it's not necessarily rooted in reality or rooted in the moment, right? What I get from the 9 of Swords is that there may be occasionally times where you're communicating with somebody. They may say something or communicate in a way that triggers a memory from the past. And because it's something you haven't let go of yet, it shows up in how you communicate with them. So just be mindful of that, right? But for the most part, your communication style isn't terribly wrong. And again, people love the way you communicate. They like listening to you talk. They like when you take up space. But just be mindful that you don't take space from other people, and be mindful that when you're talking to someone, that you're talking to them in the moment as who they are. I'm thinking of that song by Music Soul Child called Previous Cats. If you haven't heard it before, Nicole, listen to it. He talks about, I'm not Anthony, Steven, even, or Ivan. Damn girl, I'm messing up the lyrics. But he's basically telling the woman he's dating, like, I need you to communicate with me and deal with me like I'm me. Don't deal with me like the people from the past, right? So just try to be aware of that in your communications. Other than that, it seems like you're a really good communicator. Okay? Tiffany, I took your advice and pulled trigger on purchasing upcoming tickets to Freddie Gibbs. Thanks for, okay. Have I told you I have a crush on Freddie Gibbs? Don't make fun of me. Every time I tell somebody that, like, I wish Venus was here because Venus would make fun of me. She always makes fun of me. Because I have a crush on E40. I have a crush on Freddie Gibbs. And I know people hear those, they're like, really, those niggas? Yes, those niggas. I think Freddie Gibbs is so cute. I hope you have fun. Tell my baby daddy I said hi. But I hope you have an amazing time. That is valid and surprisingly accurate. Thank you. I'm glad that this resonated and that Spirit was able to give you the advice that you needed and that feels right for you. So let's see. Who else is next? I believe Sanidra was next. I just want to make sure. Yes, it was Sanidra. All right, Sanidra, we're going to see what you need to know about your communication style. Sisters, angels, sin, master spirits, walk with me. What does Sanidra need to know about her communication style? What can you tell us about her current communication style? Is it causing any blockages? And if so, what is the nature? What does she need to consider in order to improve? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Yes! I love that song too. Me at 9 running around singing that shit, not knowing what the fuck a hurricane was. I was a full teenager before I understood that hurricane was a drink. Okay. Alrighty. So Sanidra, I love you. In the position of your current communication style, you communicate in a way that's very insecure. We have the Judgment card representing the quarter life crisis. So you don't really trust yourself, right? You'll say what needs to be said, and you'll get to how you feel eventually, but there tends to be a lot of hesitation and like a lack of ability to trust yourself, right? It's almost like unless somebody has already co-signed what you're thinking or what you want to communicate, you tend to feel like very insecure about it, right? We have, in terms of the blockages that it's causing for you, we have the Emperor in reverse, right? So the way that your communication tends to land on people is as though it lands like you're unsure of yourself. It lands like you don't trust yourself. It lands like you lack discipline, right? Your communication style can make people experience you as being less emotionally mature than what you actually are, right? Because that's the thing about the Emperor in reverse. When Emperor is in reverse, it's not that they don't have discipline. It's just that people don't experience them as being disciplined, right? They're not showing up in a way where people can see it. It's not that they don't have power. It's that their power is either muted or wasted, right? So the impact or the blockage that it's creating for you is that people don't get to really see you in your fullness and in your maturity because of the lack of confidence or belief you have. Or belief is not the right word. Spirit is telling me trust. The lack of trust you have in your own thoughts and the things that you want to communicate, right? So the advice and what will change you in terms of having different experiences is literally the magician. Being the magician. Trusting your own magic, really, really leaning into and believing that you have all the tools at your disposal to get what you want. There's no reason why you can't be a good communicator. There's no reason why you need to believe that you're going to lose people in how you communicate. There's no reason for it, right? In order to be a magician, to be a priestess, to be somebody who has the power of alchemy, you have to have a deep sense of confidence and a deep sense of trust. So the long and the short of it is that your trust issues are showing up in how you communicate, and it makes you come off as less mature than what you are. And so your spirits really, really want to see you work on your relationship to self-trust so that you can show up as somebody who is as disciplined and as ordered as you actually do have the capacity to be. Okay? That's what I see for you, Sinidra. Let's see. We have Adelaida, then we have Tamika, and then we have Chantel. If there is anyone else that would like a communication clarity reading, go ahead and send your love offering over, and then I will get to you next on the list. But right now we have Adelaida next. Adelaida, give me a message. Let me make sure that you're still in the room, okay? Such as angels, send the master spirits to walk with me. My elevated ancestors. What does Adelaida need to know about her communication style? What can you tell us about her current communication style? If there are any blockages that's causing for her, please reveal them and give us wisdom around what she needs to consider in terms of altering her communication style. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. And so I think get your tarot deck for the next week. Keep the magician card on. Well, get your favorite tarot deck because I know you have more than one. Get your favorite tarot deck. Put the magician from that deck on your altar for the next week and make sure you meditate over it, okay? That card came up for a reason. Again, the magician has a deep sense of self-trust. And when you have self-trust and self-belief, it really doesn't matter how other people respond to you because you trust you, right? And so self-trust means that you're not dependent on external validation. There have been so many times in my life where I have had to stand alone in saying something, in a belief. And, you know, narcissists are charismatic. Like, they weaponize other people against me. Folks will listen to the charismatic person over the person who is talking in a way that they don't want to hear, right? But because I've had a deep sense of self-belief and self-trust, I didn't waver, right? And I wish I could say that happened all the time. There have been times where I've been, you know, similar to you, where it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to shut the fuck up because people are making me doubt myself, right? So it sounds like, again, I feel like the reading was really accurate in that you really need to get to a point where your emperor energy is reversed. And with your self-trust, you have such a deep discipline that you don't let people make you shut up. That's the easiest way I can say it. You still need to book your reading time with me. So this is definitely something that we can discuss further. You have a really interesting card in the position of Four of Pentacles. We have the Four of Pentacles, or in a position of your current communication style, which is Four of Pentacles. And I feel like this is really fascinating. You don't reveal all your cards, Adelaida. Like, you are very strategic in what you release and what you keep to yourself. The reason why I say this is interesting is because I met you face to face. We've spent time together. I've talked to you quite a bit, and I don't experience you this way. So I wonder if this is just a way that you communicate to keep yourself protected, right? Four of Pentacles is restriction It's keeping your resources, your vulnerability close to your chest, out of fear of losing something, right? And again, I've experienced you as being very vulnerable, but this may be the way that other people in your world experience you, where it's like there's a lack of a willingness to reveal your full self or reveal all of your cards to other people, right? In the position of the barriers that causes for you, we have the Empress. So actually, here's the thing. I'm going to be real, Adelaida. I don't think that you have any problems with your communication style. Even though the Four of Pentacles is coming up, it's like you know how to protect yourself and who to share your tenderness with and who not to, right? And with the Empress being in the position of where you are, right? It hasn't worked against you. Empress, again, she gets what she wants. She's attuned with nature. She's tapped into her creativity. So this is an overwhelmingly positive card. And so I don't see blockages here. In fact, it's helped you to only allow yourself to have safety where it's needed, right? Because the divine feminine, this is a conversation that I have a lot of times with I was about to say the N word, with men who don't understand or who are complaining about the reactions that they get from women. And they're like, well, I'm always dealing with women who are masculine or who don't want to open up to me. And it's like, okay, well, the divine feminine is not going to open up to people that they don't trust. Adelaida, if I don't trust people. Yeah. So even though Four of Pentacles isn't always associated as a good card in terms of you and your communication experience, it's worked for you because you keep things close to yourself when you're in environments where you don't feel safe. And when you are in environments where you feel safe, you get to show up as your most creative, natural self. So I'm going to read the third card anyway because it's here, even though Spirit is saying that your communication style is fine and it doesn't need to change. We have the Fool card. Continue to take risks, because that's the thing about the Fool. They're a student of life. They're really observant about their environment. They're willing to take risks when necessary, right? So just continue to communicate that way. Be open, be vulnerable. Let life teach you, right? And again, going back to that Empress energy, I don't see you as somebody who's incapable of taking knowledge, because that's the thing about the Fool. They're continuing to learn as they grow. That would be the one point of wisdom. Just make sure that you are not cutting yourself off from the opportunity to learn things, right? Be open in your communication. And again, I've always experienced you that way. So yeah, I will say that for the most part, your communication style is good. With the Four of Pentacles being your first card and us ending with the Fool, just make sure that you're not so guarded that you find yourself in a situation where you're not having a good experience of life. I don't think that's a thing you struggle with, but just be mindful. Be mindful that Four of Pentacles reserved energy in the wrong settings can lead to you not being able to have full experiences, okay? So that's what I see for you. Let me know if that resonates with you or not. I believe that Bratal is next. I just want to make sure. We have Bratal, then we have Chantel. And unless there is someone else that would like a reading tonight, I think that that's going to be it. Okay. Bratal, hit the scale emoji. Let me know that you're still here. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Bratal need about her communication style? What can you tell us about her current communication style? Any blockages or barriers that may be causing? And what the medicine or this change is that needs to take place in order for her to have different experiences. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. You are very welcome, Adelaida. The reason why I'm laughing is because I know that you're not going to agree with the card that talks about your current communication style. I agree with it deeply, but you're not going to agree with it. You very much are a light. We have the Knight of Cups, or not the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Wands. And the way that you communicate is like somebody who's very passionate, someone who's very passionate, also very joyful. Knight of Wands is a card of fun, right? And it's a knight, so you know that they're trained, but you can tell that they're really, really fun. Like there's somebody that you want to be with. Whatever adventure or exploration that they're going into or that they're getting into, you will follow along, even if you don't think that they know what they're doing, right? Like, that's why this is the life coach here in the reading. It's somebody that you really, really want to learn from. You want to hear their story. You believe that they have something to give you. But again, it's Aries energy. So like, even though they have this way of communicating, they don't fucking know it. I always talk about how Aries move and talk faster than what they understand. So they can do some shit and not feel it. And that's why I laughed, because every single one of your sisters would say that that's you. You be saying the most brilliant shit. You be saying the funniest shit. And I don't even think you know it half the time, right? So you have a way of communicating that makes people really want to hear you, want to connect with you, want to have fun with you, right? The barrier, the dumpster fire, the tower, the barrier that this has caused for you is that, I'm not going to cry because we've talked about this before. Everybody want to be a Knight of Wands, but they don't know how to be a Knight of Wands. And it has caused times or instances where people have tried to bring wreck or chaos to you. It's almost like they feel like if they can extinguish your fire, they'll be able to take it, right? Kind of thing. And so it has caused situations where when you show up as your authentic self and when you communicate the way that you do, it will attract a couple of crazies that end up wanting to set your house on fire because they're jealous, right? Aries women attract a lot of jealousy very easily. They're not trying to, in my experience, the two zodiac signs that attract jealousy the easiest are Aries women and Cancerian women. And I think that because you have such a sweet, fun, intelligent way of communicating that makes people want to connect to you, those crazies and those jealous people will come and try to bring wreck and almost to bring you down to size. Look at her. Look, her tower's on fire kind of thing, right? Your medicine and what you really need to teach yourself to do is to, and I know you're not going to want to hear this, you got to have the strength to keep showing up and doing it anyway. You really have to teach yourself how to not be distracted by the bitches who are trying to set your house on fire out of jealousy. Eight of Pentacles, you have to exercise that muscle, right? So instead of letting them force you into imposter syndrome, where you question yourself and you question your light, you got to really train and teach yourself how to continue to work and flex that muscle. Again, Eight of Pentacles is somebody who refines a skill set to the point where it makes them an expert in their field. So you have to continue to teach yourself, in the face of the bullshit, I'm going to continue to show up like my authentic self. I'm going to continue to connect with people, because the numbers of people who thrive off of how you communicate far outweigh the jealous crazies. Okay? Again, I hope that resonates with you. We have Chantel next. And then we wrap up with Cerulean B. Sorry, Phoenix Indigo. I didn't notice that until I said it. I hope I didn't mean to say your name. We're going to do Chantel. We're going to do Phoenix Indigo. And if there's anyone else, just go ahead and let me know. But if not, we can wrap up with Phoenix Indigo, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended master spirits that walk with me. What does Chantel need to know about her communication style? What wisdom will she benefit from having around her communication style? How does she communicate? What barriers, if any, does this cause in her communication? And what does she need to incorporate into her communication style so that she can have different experiences? Any wisdom shares, deeply appreciated. Yeah, I've been shutting down and staying out of the way. And every time you do that, the people who love you and who thrive off of you are looking for you, and they're wondering what happened. So you think you're doing it to pacify the crazies, but it actually hurts them a little bit more. Somebody just messaged me, so I gotta check my phone messages really quickly because that was Dulcinea. Okay, so I'll do Chantel right now, Phoenix Indigo, then Dulcinea, okay? Chantel, you are so it's funny because we just talked about this, and the way that you experience yourself in terms of communication is coming up in the cards. You're very smart. You're very intelligent. You have a deep sense of self-awareness. And that deep sense of self-awareness is, it gets you a lot, right? Because again, the magician is somebody who can create their own environment, create their circumstances. Your deep sense of self makes you a good alchemist, right? Don't change. Don't change. What's coming up in the area of a blockage isn't something that you need to change. It's just about being mindful. Everybody can't handle you. And that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean that you have to shrink. That doesn't mean that you have to go away. It just means that everybody doesn't get to have access to your energy. Temperance, eco-friendly. I love that temperance is a card of being eco-friendly here, right? What is being eco-friendly? It's about conservation. Conserve your energy for the people who are worth it, right? I literally hear one of my former mentors, may he rest in perfect peace, saying, don't cast your pearls amongst swine, right? Everybody they don't deserve your magic. Everybody don't deserve your magic. So that's the barrier that's coming up for you, is that you may be somebody who tries to communicate the way that you do in every space, but everybody ain't worth it, right? And so what that causes for you is moments where you feel drained. So King of Swords, get comfortable with just being a bad bitch that everybody can't have access to. Right? When you look at traditional King of Swords, this is a non-traditional deck, but when you look at the traditional King of Swords, he's literally his throne is on a cloud. Everybody can't get to no fucking clouds, right? You are very smart. You're very wise. People should have to do some work to be able to access you, right? So that's what needs to change, or what needs to happen. But your actual communication style is fine. It's very aligned. It works for you. It gets you the results you want from the people in the situations where you need it. But being comfortable with the fact that everybody shouldn't have access to you. That's what you got to work on, okay? Oh, I didn't mean to make you teary-eyed. Well, I hope that's because it resonates with you and that it makes sense. That's what I'm hoping for. But please don't cry. I be on here crying enough for everybody. I still can't believe I cried as hard as I did last month. I'm still embarrassed. All right, we got Phoenix Indigo, then we'll got Dulcinea, and if there's no one else after Dulcinea, we will wrap up for the night. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits, walk with me. What wisdom does Phoenix Indigo need about their communication style? What is their current communication style? What blockages, if any, is it causing for them? And what do they need to consider in terms of changing habits or patterns that will give them better results in their communication? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. You are very welcome, Chantel, anytime. My deck is actually getting hot. So I hope she lets me get through the last of the readings. If not, I may have to switch out. Okay. Phoenix Indigo, you're very, very smart. Very, very smart. Lover's card is Gemini energy. And the Gemini is the twins. You're not just smart in a textbook way. You're smart in the way that you can understand multiple sides of a situation, right? Because that's how Geminis are. That's why they get accused of being two-faced. And they do a lot of thinking and constantly their minds are always going. And the reason why people experience them as two-faced is because sometimes they can come to conclusions in their head on their own, and they expect other people to just meet them where they were. And it's like, no, bitch, you got to have a conversation, right? So you are very, very smart. And your mercurial nature is a good thing for the most part, right? The blockage and the barrier that you have, and I see this with a lot of Gemini placements as well as mercurial people in general, is that you have a tendency to think everybody is as smart as you are, and they're not. And sometimes, Gemini is your Mercury. That absolutely makes sense because that's double Mercury. It's Mercury squared, right? This is going to sound harsh, but I don't know any other way to say it. Part of the debilitation of the King of Swords is that they use their wisdom for bad. And what I mean by that is that they can low-key kind of get off on making people feel stupid, right? They play mind games because they know that they can win. I don't think you do it intentionally, though. And I'm going to say that when we get into the last card. You have to give people grace. Everybody's not as smart as you. And so rather than batting people around like a little fucking hamster or whatever, when you realize that they're dumb, let them go, right? That's something you really got to work on. You don't use your wisdom for good. I don't know the way to say it. I know that may sound fucked up. But in terms of the advice you need to embody, we have the Hierophant, right? The Hierophant is a teacher. The Hierophant is somebody who teaches people about the path. They teach people information and wisdom. I think there's a part of you that's what I was trying to articulate with the King of Swords. You are so smart that you get irritated with people. And when you get irritated with people, instead of having patience, you play mind games with them. You show out and point out why they're stupid. But Spirit wants you to have some fucking grace, girl. Have some grace. And be patient. Be a teacher. Like, bring people up to speed. This happens a lot with really, really smart people. I ran into this a lot in the academy, where people who are smart almost get off on making other people feel dumb. And that's not a good way to be. You know what I mean? It's not an intentional thing that smart people do, but it is a thing that happens. So your spirits would really love to see you be a little bit more gracious with your intelligence instead of wielding it like a weapon over other people. And again, I don't think you do it on purpose. I don't think you do it from a malicious place, but it is going to be really important that you ask yourself what it's costing you, in terms of your connections. So let me know if that resonated with you. Let me know. You probably not heard that shit before. Bertal said it sounds like me at work. Lord God. Okay. But again, I hope that was helpful. I hope that resonated with you. If not, let me know. So Dulcinea is my last person. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering, and then put a message down below once you've done. If not, we will just wrap up with Dulcinea for the night. Okay, Phoenix Indigo said, only when I'm mean and I don't let myself get mean off it. Okay, so that's part of it though, right? Because King of Swords has a reputation for being very, very quiet for that exact same reason, right? I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, but look at somebody like Tyrion, not Tyrion, Tyrion, their father, Tyrion Lannister. He doesn't talk a lot, but he's really, really smart. And when he talks to people and they can't keep up with him, he snaps and says the meanest shit ever, right? That is a King of Swords trait. But what a lot of King of Swords will do, because they don't want to be seen as mean, is that they just won't talk at all. And again, to whom much is given, much is expected. You are very, very smart. So again, that Hierophant energy is coming up to say that because you are so smart, you have a responsibility to be a teacher. And again, it may not be something that you want to do, but it's a part of your responsibility, right? We can talk more about this offline. I hope that it makes sense. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters. Dulcinea, hit the scale so that I know that you're still with me, Dulcinea. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Dulcinea need about her communication? What can you tell us about her current communication style? If there are any blockages or barriers that her communication style causes, please illuminate them. And please give us wisdom around the medicine that she needs so that she can have better experiences of her communication. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Hey, La Balin, thank you for joining us. Whenever you get the chance, watch the first part of the reading. We talked about Crissle and Cardi B and about how people can low-key use communication as a form of abuse. How even really smart people end up not having good connections or relationships with people because they don't know how to keep bitterness out of how they communicate. I thought it was a good conversation. The rest of the audience will have to confirm that for me. But definitely make sure that you go back and watch that. But now I'm doing the communication clarity readings, which is a 3-card reading to give people insight into their communication style. So if you would like a reading, let me know. Send your love offering. And if not, just hang out with us, chill as we wrap up, okay? I love us. The Emperor. You communicate like an emperor. You communicate with like somebody who is very, very deliberate, very aware of the fact that their communication is a form of building, right? We have to remember that the Emperor is about empire. So we think a lot about the discipline and the divine masculine of the Emperor, and that is a huge part of it. But at the end of the day, the Emperor is somebody who is very direct, very specific, very relatable, right? Not relatable. They're not relatable at all. But you are very specific. You cut to the quick. You're very much to the point. You're about getting to the heart of the matter in terms of how you communicate. And I think that's really accurate. That's how I've always experienced you, as somebody who is, sometimes it takes a second for you to articulate it because you are a Virgo. But for the most part, you are very deliberate in how you communicate, and you understand that communication in and of itself is a form of building. It's a form of connecting. Again, the Emperor builds empire, right? In terms of your barrier or your blockage, we have the 5 of Swords. Now, this is called the card of gaslighting in Millennial Tarot, but you are not a gaslighter. I have not experienced you that way, and I don't think that's the wisdom of the card. What is coming up, though, is that a blockage for you is that sometimes your strategy is not the most effective or efficient. Because 5 of Swords in and of itself is about strategy that leaves us victimized, right? I feel like your message is very similar to the message that Chantel had earlier, which is about everybody's not going to be able to handle the way you communicate, right? Because with the 5 of Swords, sometimes the improper strategy is that we're leaving ourselves open and vulnerable, and that can cause us to be victimized, right? So again, I don't think that you are gaslighting so much as it is with your communication style, it leaves you open to being gaslit, which is the victimization of the Five of Swords. So this is coming up to say that you need to kind of reevaluate who you give that level of access to, right? And I love this. And so I know that what I was saying was right about everybody not being able to have access to you and then not leaving you victim to people gaslighting you, because the card in terms of advice is the Six of Wands. Baby, it's okay to be that bitch. It's okay to be that bitch. It's okay. It's okay for people to want to aspire to be you. It's okay to be that girl, right? And I think that when you know you are that girl, you are comfortable with everybody not having access to you. It's okay for them to watch from the sidelines and cheer you on, but that doesn't mean that they get close to you, right? It's tens of thousands of people at a Beyonce concert, but that don't mean that they get to sit down with her and have drinks after, right? So I think that there's a way in which, again, because you see communication as connection, as building of community, you want to bring everybody in. But nah, that's not. The long and the short of it is that you very much, like Chantel, be trying to talk to everybody, and y'all don't need to be doing that. I hope that makes sense. I really hope that makes sense. All right. Thank you guys for trusting me with this format. I hope that it resonated with you. Again, I just want to say a few words about the overall topic before I got into the individual readings. I also want to remind you guys, it's the Libra placements. One of my best friends in the world is a Libra. And y'all really be trying to create space for everybody. Y'all got to stop that. Nah, it's okay. And then again, Libras are another sign that attract a lot of jealousy. Y'all attract a lot of jealousy. Y'all be wanting to be everybody's friends, and then bitches be jealous of y'all. And then when they do weirdo shit to y'all, y'all be so hurt over it. Stop trying to be these heifers' friends, especially if they jealous of you. But what was my point? Oh yeah. So shadow work consultations are still on sale. They're still on sale for the discounted price. Sale ends October 1st. So if you know you want a shadow work consultation, especially if you heard or got one of these readings tonight and you know that there are things you need to work on further, definitely consider booking the shadow work consultation. Rich Spirit is started back up. We have our next round of Rich Spirit November 10th through the 13th. The link is in the comments, so go ahead and join the WhatsApp group so that you can learn more about it. We also have Grace and Gratitude starting November 1st, so sign up for that as well. I will be back tomorrow. I typically do not. Don't do my God baby like that. Don't be doing my God baby like that. I've never experienced her as being mean. Even when she thinks she's being mean, she's just being honest. I will be back here tomorrow. I know I typically don't do back-to-back happy hour readings, but again, I changed the topic last minute just because of the things that were happening and what I was witnessing with the Crissle story and some other things, and I really wanted to address this topic. But we will be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock, for another happy hour reading. We're going to be talking about Mars and Scorpio. We're going to be talking about the type of transformation that it opens up. We're going to be talking about how it supports you with sensuality and sexual healing, what that means. We're going to be talking about sex magic. And then I'm also going to be doing more readings for everybody tomorrow night. So if you are free, come back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. EST. And if you're not free tomorrow night, just come back Sunday. Sunday I'll be here, 7:30 for the weekly reading as always. Love you all. See y'all tomorrow. Have a good night. Get some rest. Take care. Bye.